Canadian Navy, the Canadian Army, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and Special Forces on maintaining their capabilities and training and developing those capabilities in coming years. And, most importantly, to address the concerns of our personnel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
You've been a proponent of the F-35 for quite some time, and the criticism has been constant in terms of the cost and what it can do and so on. And I'm just wondering, in your new role, will you still be a cheerleader? Do you still believe, and if so, why it's the best aircraft?
I think the greater question is the government's focus on ensuring that the Canadians have combat-capable platforms for the Air Force, for the Navy, and for the Army. The F-35 in particular is part of a whole-of-government effort, and we will continue to take our lead on the F-35 from the government.
Sorry, could you just answer her question, though, which was, will you continue to be a supporter of it?
The F-35 is a program that is hitting milestones and doing quite well. It will continue to contend for the replacement for the CF-18.
Will you recommend to the government that they buy the F-35 as a future combat aircraft?
I'll be providing our best advice throughout the process.
Just while you're there, I'm wondering, certainly General Lawson has an interesting career in the Canadian Forces. He's not commanded a command yet. He's been deputy commander. Twice, I think, but not a commander. And I'm wondering why it is that he has the stuff that some of the other guys didn't have.
Well, it's a good question. We went through a very extensive, I would call it a comprehensive interview process where we interviewed a number of individuals, looked at their personal experience, looked at their qualities to command the Canadian Forces. I think it's fair to say that General Lawson, in his role at NORAD, certainly was in a command post, as he was internationally in other areas. He brings to the job a wealth of experience. He brings the type of characteristics that are very consistent with the ethos of the Canadian Forces. I think his time at the Royal Military College, where he was in contact with a lot of the future of the Canadian Forces, also was something that we saw very positively in his role now as Chief of Defence Staff, and we have every confidence in his ability to command the entire Canadian Forces.
Général Lawson, en français, Général Lawson, vous prenez la tête des forces alors que les opérations militaires comme l'Afghanistan sont en train de se terminer.
Such as actions such as Afghanistan are being diminished. You have less and less money. Are you taking over an organization that has a lot less means to be managed? Answer. You're talking about restraints. I would like to talk about growth in the Canadian Forces during the 10 years, the 10 past years. We are very excited with the operational capabilities of the Canadian Forces, all the equipment to support all the operations. To come back to my colleague's question in French, do you intend to continue to promote the F-35 as you have in the past? Answer. It's a very interesting question. I'm interested in engaging with the government.
It's an organization I've been with for 37 years, and any senior officer would be delighted to have the opportunity to lead the organization that we've loved and worked within. My priorities will be, I have the luxury of following a tremendous leader who has nurtured the CF so very well, so I can maintain the course we're on, which is to ensure that our operations are carefully looked after and nurtured, that the forces of today are very well trained and have the equipment required, and we look after our wounded soldiers, and thirdly, to look after the forces of the future by providing our best advice to the government on how we can best situate ourselves to provide them the options required for future operations, both home and abroad.
One final question. General, the Canada First Defence Strategy is in the process of being rewritten right now. It's expected at some time in the fall. Will you have any meaningful input as to what the reset of the Canada First strategy is going to look like?
I'm delighted to say that as you may well know, the CF had great input with the government on the CFDS as it's currently written, and every indication is that we will be asked for our advice in the development of what follows.
I'd like to pick up on that. The Canada First Defence strategy, as you would expect, Marie, is going through this refresh. It's a document that evolves and continues on the needs of the Canadian Forces. With General Lawson's new leadership, clearly he will want to put his stamp on that document and giving advice to the Canadian Forces about a number of things, including the equipment needs, our infrastructure, programs for our personnel, our ill and injured, and of course our operational readiness. So within that criteria, the Canadian Forces will be looking to General Lawson for his leadership and input, and this document will provide us with a blueprint, as it has over the last number of years.
Adjustments, you referred to it in your introduction. Can you just what kind of adjustments is the CF looking at this point in time?
Well, adjustments in all of those areas to ensure that we're a modern, combat-capable military, and that includes some of the exercises that you've seen as recently as this past number of weeks in the Arctic. We need to be prepared for inevitabilities where we may find ourselves, but also investing in those modern platforms that will give us the ability to provide the type of effectiveness and mission success that we have seen in recent years. Some of those platforms, of course, as you know, included the new transport aircraft, new helicopters, and the investments that we've been making over the past number of years in the infrastructure to allow for the type of training that those personnel need. Thanks very much.